recording now. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum, Night 2. My name is Brittany Sherman. I'm the CEO President for the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce. Along with me tonight, I have Chamber Board Director, Government Relations Center Chair, and Cross Currents LLC owner, Lee Nevis. All questions asked to the candidates this evening were based on topics that ranked of high importance on survey results from the business community. Questions from attendees will not be addressed to the candidates at this time. Tonight's webinar is being recorded and streamed live on the Chamber Facebook page. The timeline for this evening is as follows. 6 to 6:45, candidates for Council Member District A, Julie Raia, Larry Carr, Gino Borgioli. 6:55 to 7:05, we'll hear statements from Morgan Hill Unified School District TA7 Representative Adam Escoto and Morgan Hill Unified School District TA6 Representative Mary Patterson. And to close this out for the evening from 7:10 to 7:40, we'll hear from the candidates for the Morgan Hill Unified School District TA5, Ivan Rosales Montes and Pam Teresi. Without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. And I believe I have the first question. So this is one that we're going to address to everybody. It's kind of our warm-up feel-good question. So Julie, I'm going to start with you. How do you see the role of a city council member and what are your qualifications for filling that role? You'll have 3 minutes.
I think the role of a city council member is to represent the wishes and the hopes of the people in their district. I think it's important that we hear from them, that we hold transparency, that we stay honest, and we make policies and we make budget changes based on what people are needing in the community. My qualifications are pretty substantial. I ran a mental health counseling agency for over 10 years. I know what it's like to make budgets. I know what it's like to scrape every little dime you have so that people don't lose jobs. I understand furloughs. I understand having people go on furloughs and not get paid for the time they work. I understand profit and loss margins. I understand what it's like to start a program, cut programs. I've been on the Sobrato student council for, this is my 2nd year, and I was voted as vice president just Monday, which is exciting. So I believe that I come with a lot of experience. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a KDAC certification for drug and alcohol treatment. I have 2 college degrees, one of which is I have a master's in psychology, and I've been in the field for over 20 years. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm part of this community. I love Morgan Hill. I'm female, if you didn't know that already, and it would be nice to have more female on the council and the board. So I feel like those are some pretty decent qualifications.
Thank you, Julie. Gino, same question.
First and foremost, the role of a city council member is to ensure that the citizens of the community are safe, and the budget is able to sustain all essential services of the community. And another key role is to listen to the constituents of your district. And that's something that I'm very used to because of my previously elected position. And so talking about that is my previous elected position. When I was elected in 2014, I soon realized that even though I have over 30 years of high tech and corporate life and 10 years in banking and financial, working within a government type agency is very different. And I soon realized that I have to, in order to be effective, I have to do some education. So I enrolled in what they call Masters in Governance, which is about an 18-month course, and it encompasses finance, HR, collective bargaining, risk management, community outreach. So with that behind me, I was able to become a much more effective person on a board. I was one of the only board members that have the knowledge and experience in the financial area to, in 2017-18, outline a deficit spending on the school board. And I always came armed with about 15 questions. And because of that, we were able to put together a plan to figure out how we can cut and still manage the school district. So I feel my my background and experience, especially in high tech and financial, and my 35 years in the community, and a graduate of Leadership Morgan Hill, and involved in many other areas within Morgan Hill. I feel I bring a wealth of experience and knowledge and information, and being able to represent the district and the citizens of Morgan Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino. All right, Larry, you're up. Same question.
Thank you, Brittany. First, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring these forums and bringing us together, giving an opportunity for voters and constituents to see the candidates. Lee, thanks for spending time helping with questions and guiding us tonight. The Chamber puts on a wonderful program here. And I want to thank all the viewers who are tuning in either on Zoom or live on Facebook, and who are watching us tonight. You all, I hope you all spend a little bit of time looking at our websites and probably materials you'll get from us in the coming weeks, but there's no better way to learn about candidates than to hear them side by side answering the same or similar questions. So tonight is very valuable and important, even in these very difficult times and having to do this online like this. Brittany, I'll tell you, a council member's role is actually a very specific role. We serve more as if we are a board of directors. We are not day-to-day managers of the city. We are at that 30,000 foot high level where we set priorities and goals for the professional staff that manage the city. The most important job of the city council member is to hire 2 employees. We only hire and advise, and if needed, remove 2 different employees. One, the city manager, who is the day-to-day manager, the CEO of our city, and 2, the city attorney, who is the city's attorney and keeps track of all legal issues for the city and the council. We do approve a budget, and we do a 2-year budget in Morgan Hill with annual reviews on that. In fact, every 6-month reviews on that. And government accounting is very different from the business world, from managing my personal checkbook, or from the accounting that a Fortune 500 company may do, or even a nonprofit organization may do. Government accounting is a unique way of accounting, and it does take time to understand that in order to really approve budgets that we do every year or every 2 years. We have a lot of studying to do. It is the responsibility that constituents have put upon the city council to really learn issues, to be able to talk about issues and make decisions on issues. That's why we have a representative democracy, because we don't all have the ability to take the time that it needs to really learn all of the ins and outs of issues. And so we ask a council, we ask a legislative body to really spend the time to learn those issues and make decisions. And of course, we do have constituent responsibilities and taking care of issues that may arise for people that live within our districts. This is the first time that I'm running in a district. I have been elected every time citywide, and I take that responsibility on for all voters and all residents of Morgan Hill, and making sure that government serves their needs, protects them, keeps them safe, and maintains their quality of life. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Larry. Lee, you're up with the next question.
I am. Let me pull it up right here. This question is for Gino. Gino, given the fact that our city has a multi-million-dollar deficit and we are in the middle of a pandemic-induced recession, what is your suggestion to stem the bleeding? What is your stance on bringing back the cannabis question, as in legalizing cannabis in the city of Morgan Hill, back to city council?
Well, I think we have two challenges. One, we had a $7 million deficit in our operational budget, and growing coming into the end of 2019. And this was at the peak of a 10-year economic boom, during which the current council members, sat, and the city really couldn't pay for basic services like fire and EMS and street repair. And I get that street repair all the time from people whom I speak to. That really shouldn't have happened. The deficit in an economic boom, I don't understand that. The year before, it was about $4 million. Excuse me. So the challenge, at that time was, and really is now, is how do we close that gap? Can we cut services? Can we increase revenue through taxes? Both, to be honest, are not favorable, especially when you talk to people. So in January of this year, the city council, had a budget planning session, and there was, in my opinion, more talk about procedures than coming up with a clear plan to close the gap. The COVID, bam, that hit and exponentially made things, tremendously worse. I think now we're in like 20 million. So while, real estate tax receipts, have remained steady, there was a significant drop in sales tax receipts in hotel, and that led to even more city services being cut. The challenge now is more urgent. How do we get the economy going? That's going to bring in revenue. How to increase revenue and taxes and new business activity is going to be key, especially business activity. So I have a plan to entice businesses, not the Trammell Crow type businesses, but businesses like high tech. I call them diverse businesses that bring in high wage earners and medium wage earners, and that will allow us to meet the needs of our community. I think we have to be very bold in everything that we do today, but bringing in new businesses and opening up jobs is going to be the way to start closing the gap. So we have to focus on how we can help our current businesses and economy, and how to entice other businesses, including manufacturing and industrial. I would love to go into Silicon Valley and woo companies down here. We have a beautiful town, and I think we can do much better in bringing businesses that have diversity in their workplace and employees. As far as the cannabis, I wasn't for it. I feel it's just not the right way to go. It's something that doesn't appeal to me personally, but I know there's a need. There's a need for, medically for many people. But I just don't think Morgan Hill has an appetite for the cannabis in our town.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you. All right, next question is for Julie. What ideas do you have to assist businesses in recovering from the pandemic?
Well, I believe that we're still definitely in a pandemic. We hit over 200,000 dead in this United States on Tuesday. I think that this pandemic has a lot of questions that still haven't been answered. And I am really impressed with how businesses have accommodated the restrictions of the pandemic. when I drive downtown area and I see outside seating and I see people cutting hair under canopies in parking lots and people getting their pedicures and manicures, you know, under storefronts. I mean, I think that there's been this real out of the box sort of thinking, which is something I really appreciate. And I think that we need to do more of that, but still stay safe and stay within state, county regulations of what we can be doing during this pandemic. I like the idea of perhaps the downtown area sharing the burden with each other. I like this idea of perhaps, you know, discounts if you go to dinner, and then after dinner maybe get 10% off if you go to a retail shop. You know, I've lived here for 13 years and I have to say that I believe in retail therapy. I think it's great. And it would be really nice to see more small retail, small business owners in the downtown area. So when people leave the restaurants at night and they've had a glass of wine, they can go into a store and they can do a little shopping. So I totally believe in that. I think maybe some kind of kickback or you know, something to do with, you know, less rent or lease options that are sort of can accommodate the need of the small business is just as important as well.
Thank you. Lee?
This one is for Council Member Carr. Two of your council members have come out in support of Proposition 15, the split roll tax. And so given that, I just wanted to get your opinion or stance on Prop 15 and its effect on business in Morgan Hill.
You bet. Thanks, Lee. Prop 15 is the schools and communities' first initiative. Some call it split roll, where commercial businesses would be split away from residential owned homes on the property tax rolls as a way of increasing property taxes coming from commercial and industrial. I have some concerns with it, is why I have not endorsed it. But let's be really clear. I am absolutely supportive. I believe that commercial and industrial and particularly big business in California needs to pay their fair share. And that fair share is not enough today. They need to provide more for, they are running their businesses in our communities and they need to provide more and participate more in the success of communities. My concern is that despite what the proponents may say and despite what we heard on Tuesday, the threat to small businesses is real. Morgan Hill's economy is largely based on small businesses. When you get to a triple net lease, everything gets passed down to the leaseholder, including the taxes. And so if taxes increase, the lease for the small businesses that we all love to go to, the restaurants owned by our friends and neighbors that we all love to go to, those rates will increase. And I have great concerns about the ability during a global pandemic that has already cut their ability to run their businesses significantly, and now adding on a increase like that. Lee, let me tell you my other concern about it. Traditionally, when the state of California has raised taxes and those monies are supposed to go to local entities, school districts and cities, they eventually get pulled back to Sacramento, by Sacramento. I think Morgan Hill needs a new revenue source. I think it should be a local revenue source that voters in Morgan Hill get to vote on and get to approve, and that the leaders of Morgan Hill get to decide where that money goes, and that it is protected and stays within our community for the services that the voters believe it should go towards. Not a tax that Sacramento would apply to us and can eventually pull back from us at the same time while they're damaging our small businesses. It's not the time to raise taxes on small businesses. We don't need to hurt them anymore. We need to find ways to help them recover so that their tax base grows that we all benefit from. Thanks for the question, Lee.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, I've got the next one up and it's for Gino. What stance do you take on defunding or reallocating funds of the Morgan Hill Police Department?
I've thought about this a great deal, and I'm not in favor at all of defunding the police. I feel we can always look at the budget, and we can always reallocate monies, and we can look at how we spend monies. But here's the real key: when you call 911, you want someone to answer the phone, and you want a response in a reasonable time. So let me quote a FBI crime data from Morgan Hill. 1 in 56 people will be a victim of either property or violent crime. And this really hits close to me. And here's the reason why. In June of this year, walking around Paradise Valley Park, where I walk my dogs all the time, I was a victim of a violent crime. And my daughter was with me. She called 911. And no police came. Now, I love the police. In fact, in August of last year, I took a 4.5-month course. It's called the Citizens Police Academy at Morgan Hill PD. And I learned everything about the police department. I learned not only about the budget and how they allocate it and spend it, but I learned about, SWAT, emergency services, narcotics, drugs, undercover, all aspects of the police department. I went on many ride-alongs, and I could tell you firsthand, these officers work their butts off, period. They have no room at all to even take coffee breaks. It's not like the old time when you see officers eating donuts and coffee. Our guys are just running from call to call to call. So get this, there's 4 police officers on any given shift for a town that has over 45,000 people. We need to actually add an officer, and the PD is showing the reason why. The more people that you have, the more officers and fire and EMS you need. And we're running lean and mean. And I think with the knowledge of this CPA class that I took, I can bring that to the city as a council member and work with the city and the Morgan Hill PD to ensure that we're using the funds to protect our citizens of Morgan Hill first and foremost. They want to feel safe. Everybody tells me that. When you call 911, they want a response in a reasonable time. So I feel unlike the other 2 candidates, relative to knowledge of the PD, I feel I have the most experience and knowledge to make decisions about any reallocation of funds.
Thank you, Gino. Lee, the next question is yours.
Yes, it is. And this one is for Julie. Julie, as it relates to economic development, what is your opinion on commercial building in Morgan Hill? What is your opinion specifically on fulfillment centers and last mile distribution in Morgan Hill?
So I believe that economic growth and development is necessary. I do believe that if someone wants to come into this city and build something very large, that everyone in this community needs to know about it and needs to know and understand why it's happening. I do think that what Larry was saying was true. I mean, if we bring big companies here and they can pay their fair share of taxes, then it's possibly a win-win, but it also needs to be vetted out and made clear to the people that live in this city what is going on. So I think that it's a very complex issue. And I think that people in our community definitely have had a voice about this. I think the Trammell Crow distribution center has really affected people and compromised their trust and belief in the people that are supposed to be representing us.
Thank you, Julie. Lee's having a frozen moment right now, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. All right, Larry, this next one is for you. Jobs and industrial development go hand in hand, but we rarely discuss the targeted types of jobs and employees that we want to attract to the area. In your opinion, what industry and workforce is best for Morgan Hill, both today and in the future?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Economic development is a key to any city. It's a way to bring in tax revenue so that we can run programs, so that we can provide the public safety that our citizens and our community needs and wants. And it can provide great jobs. Morgan Hill used to have a significant economic base of manufacturing and small manufacturing jobs, good middle-class jobs that allowed people to buy and own homes in the area. Most manufacturing in the United States has gone overseas, unfortunately. And what was here in Morgan Hill also has. We do have some. Mission Bell is a great example. We do have some that are committed to building in the United States, and we love those guys and do everything we can to make sure that their life at Morgan Hill is working out the way that they planned it. We'd love to bring some more of that back in. The reality is Silicon Valley is a high-tech world, and we need to figure out how technology can be a part of South County as well. We have for years participated, I personally have participated in efforts throughout Silicon Valley to make sure that as Silicon Valley grows, it doesn't turn the corner and go towards the East Bay any more than it already has, so that we lose out on any of that here. We want to bring in the right amount, not necessarily the spaceship or a new Google headquarters, because that would be too impactful on our community. And so there are ways of doing that. But let's be clear, you don't go up into Silicon Valley and request a meeting with a high-tech CEO and talk them into coming to Morgan Hill. You work with brokers, you work with landowners, you work with developers, and they really are going to be looking at what kind of buildings can be developed in Morgan Hill, where is the right place for it in Morgan Hill, and what kind of company then would be willing to fill those buildings in Morgan Hill. And so in order to get the kind of jobs that all candidates and council members talk about in Morgan Hill, we are going to have some building and some growth. And so that's going to happen. But we need to do it in the right character of Morgan Hill. What are our development standards in Morgan Hill when it comes to massing, when it comes to use? And that's a conversation that my colleagues and I on the city council have requested that we have in a public session so that the public can participate in that conversation as well. Bring back an ordinance, develop an ordinance that talks about our development standards so that we all have the right playbook, and people that want to invest millions of dollars in Morgan Hill in development and bringing good jobs here understand what's going to be expected of them in order to become a community member here in Morgan Hill. Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you, Larry. All right, next up, this one's for you, Gino. Communication between the city and county has both been expanded and stressed during the shelter in place. How would you balance your role as a representative of the Morgan Hill residential community, a business advocate, and a representative of the city during times when the best positions for each of these sectors could vary drastically?
Well, we govern jointly with the county. We have common priorities, and we need to collaborate and work in unison to really meet our mutual priorities. We need a voice at the table, though. I feel personally that we go to the county and we express some things, but they don't listen. So I would like to work more closely with our elected county board members, really to identify areas where the city and county could work together in a much more structured and defined way with clear direction and directives. Right now, it's imperative for us to work together, given how COVID has, wrought havoc in our community and really impacted our city tremendously. Collaboration is crucial to ensure that our city has the best support possible. And really, this is the key, a voice in the decisions made by the county officials that may affect our city. That's really the key word here, is we have a voice. I think the county doesn't really get what we're all about in the South Bay here. I don't think they get the issues. And I think we need, as a councilman and a councilwoman, we really need to get a clear message to the county. What are our issues? And we need strong, bold leadership here. It cannot be business as usual going forward. We need to clearly state our position and concerns to the county, because really it's very easy. When we all work together, we all win in this economy. I would like to work with county officials also to attract Silicon Valley businesses down here. I'm sure there's a lot of county leaders and officials that have specific ties to corporations, and I think at least my goal is I want to work with them in a much higher way than ever before. I'm not afraid, to pick up the phone and call top officials at corporations and in the county and even in the state, and to see what we can do to bring businesses, especially diverse businesses, down to Morgan Hill, because our population has grown to a tremendous extent. So we need to attract diversified businesses, including high tech and retail, industrial, manufacturing. So I think collaboration, and we need to make our wishes known at the table where decisions are made.
Thank you, Gino. All right, I believe Leah is going to take the next and final question. Oh, he's muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Aha, fabulous. Okay, so final question is for Julie and Gino, and Councilman Carr will have a chance to rebut. But Julie and Gino, give us 3 reasons each why the incumbent should not be reelected.
Who's going to go first, Lee?
Julie. Julie goes first. Sorry about that.
Yeah, this doesn't feel collaborative. I do believe that we all bring very important skill set. I believe that if the people vote for Larry and that's their voice, then I would definitely appreciate that. I'm not here to give any reason why any candidate on this panel should not be elected.
Okay, Gino?
So I'm gonna cite a situation that happened in September 18th, 2019 at the City Council meeting. There was a presentation by Hexagon on the traffic impact study about Trammell Crow. And so I sat there, listened to the study, and I did my homework, by the way. The study finished. None of the council members asked any questions. And then it was time to bring up the public. And so I had 3 minutes, and I went up, and I always am very appreciative of any elected official. I don't think you know how hard they work, especially behind the scenes. So I appreciate them, and I said, thank you, council members. I appreciate it, but I'm very disappointed. You had a presentation on a very important traffic impact study, and there's at least 12 major flaws to the study, one of which was on the first page, first paragraph, and it said they only did the study on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, heck, everybody knows high traffic is on Fridays and Mondays. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, you can't get through town on Fridays. And this study didn't include Fridays. On the second paragraph, it said that they pinged cell phones in cars. And it said it right in the study. And they only captured 1 to 2% of the actual traffic. And in the third or fourth paragraph down, it said the study was made in 2017. So in 2 years, from 2017 to 2019, traffic has increased tremendously. Everybody knows that, especially on Mondays and Fridays. So if I was elected, I would have asked those questions to the person who presented that presentation. And I think that's the real key that I see, because I go to a lot of city council meetings. I don't think the tough questions are asked. I don't think, enough is, I think you need bold leadership. I think if you're afraid to speak out on a particular issue, then you shouldn't be in public office. And I think with, again, my background and my knowledge, especially my training in finance and risk management and HR and collective bargaining, I really feel that's a real big difference maker between Mr. Carr and myself. And I really strongly listen to our community, and my community knows it. So I'm about the people, for the people, and we the people need a voice at the table.
Okay, Councilman Carr, you can rebut or give the 3 reasons why you should be reelected.
Great, thanks, Lee. And again, I believe this is coming to a conclusion, so I want to thank the Chamber and everyone who's watching tonight and spending a little bit of time with us. I want to thank both Gino and Julie for joining us tonight, and congratulating them for taking the step to run for office in Morgan Hill. It takes courage and compassion, and a lot of passion for your community to do that. Listen, Morgan Hill's my home. It has been for almost my entire life. I grew up here from going to public schools, from kindergarten at P.A. Walsh. I was in the very first class at Paradise Valley Elementary School, and Britain, and eventually graduated from Live Oak High School. When it was time to think about starting a family, I knew where I wanted to raise my family, and I raised my kids here, bought my home here in Morgan Hill. I'm committed and passionate about this community, always have been. I've served for many years on the City Council, make no doubt about it. I think anyone who looks at records and understands the things that have gone on in Morgan Hill will understand and agree that when it comes to experience and leadership, there's no one else. There's no one else running for office today, not just in this seat, but in others, who has the experience and leadership that I have. And you can see it throughout Morgan Hill, whether it be our expanded library, whether it be the great facilities that families and seniors get to use at the Centennial Recreation Center, whether it be the rebuilding of our police department from cuts that were made in the early 90s. I've had a hand in all of those things, and I'm proud of it, and I'm happy to represent Morgan Hill. But make no mistake about it, Morgan Hill has some challenges ahead of us, significant ones. Challenge number 1 is recovering from what is going on with COVID. And I'm proud of the fact that the hardworking men and women of the Morgan Hill Police Officers Association have endorsed me, because they believe that I'm the one with the best plan and experience to help us recover. It was early April when I looked at the situation and said, we're not going back anytime soon. And I sat down and drafted a recovery and reopening plan for the city of Morgan Hill. I sent that plan out to the Chamber and many of your board members, Brittany, many other people in our community. Councilmember John McKay and I worked tirelessly on it, putting it together. We presented it to our colleagues and it was largely adopted as our current economic development strategy. It is the reason why our restaurants are outside today. It is the reason why personal services are operating outside today. We said city government cannot be in the way when the public health code allows these things to open up, and we cannot slow it down. And so we put that in place. And the next thing is going to be, how do we handle as the weather gets cooler and wetter? How are we going to continue that? I know we're wrapping up here, Brittany, but I just want to talk really briefly. As a single council member, I don't get to do anything. But it's my job to bring people together, bring the community together, bring my colleagues together on the city council in order to move the city together. I have the experience and the leadership to do that. And that's why hundreds of our friends and neighbors have endorsed me. It's why elected officials from every level of government have endorsed me and want to see me continue on, including County Supervisor Mike Wasserman, Assemblymember Robert Rivas, and my colleagues. I'm excited about the future of Morgan Hill and getting back to work. And again, Brittany, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Lee, for your leadership in helping put this together, and all the viewers who've watched tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie, Gino, and Larry for joining us this evening. That does conclude the first portion of our session. So thank you for spending the time with us today. We really appreciated getting to know you and learning your platforms. Everybody else who is on, whether you're on Facebook or with us on the Zoom, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back at 6:55 and hear statements from both Adam Escoto and Mary Patterson. And with that, we'll go ahead and go to break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brittany and Lee.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
candidates,